Good evening. Welcome to Dr. Michael Explains. Tonight we're going to be discussing the competition in the water ionizer market. This is probably the most eagerly sought after presentation that I do next to, can you please explain what electrolyzed reduced water is and why does it work so well? It's my intent to accurately and diligently put to rest some of the marketing misdirections, if you will, and deceptions that they try to do to instill fear or confusion. There's a lot of that going around. I have since sorted through a lot of information. I've been kicked off some water ionizer sites. I've been banned from places because of asking these types of questions that they can't honestly answer and they don't want to be on the record for stating. I'm not going to tell you who they are, but they know who they are. So let's get started and we'll start this presentation. Call this the competition of Skywater. The reality of it is I've come to the conclusion that there really isn't any. I do diligently search, and here's why. I regularly evaluate these water ionizers because what they did for my daughter Skylar. You can go and watch Dr. Michael Explains the Water Revised, and you'll get the full explanation. My loyalty to the SD501 lies in the simple fact that I've not found a better machine at this price point. I do continue to research them because my daughter's health actually does depend on it. It's not a gimmick. It's not a business. She requires it daily. And when she has it, she's perfectly normal. And when she doesn't, she has other health issues. It's a critical component of the health for my entire family and our active lifestyle. The SD501 was not the first ionizer I had purchased, used, or otherwise, nor was it the last one that I researched. I simply have not found one that is superior across the board on all facets to date. That said, there's a lot to sort through these days, so let me explain my own personal findings. This is not clinical research. This is as valid as anybody else's opinion, but it's the research behind what I have found. Just as a point to reference, Skylar was my daughter. She was born with gastroschisis. In 2009, she spent a year in the hospital. She came home after having 2 colostomies, a reversal of resection, to 100 hours a week of home health care with feeding tubes and feeding ports. That's Skylar today, and she is a healthy, happy, very vibrant, almost 6-year-old. What was the difference and why did the water work? Well, it's simple. The healthiest person and the sickest person can be broken down into 2 parts. Muscles, ligaments, bones, organs, and tissues, and they all add up to 28% of the person. The other 72% of everyone is just water. But not all water is equal. You have distilled water, reverse osmosis water, filtered water, alkaline water, ionized water, and then there's electrolyzed reduced water. If you want to go to Dr. Michael Explains the Water, I get into this in greater detail. But the short answer is electrolyzed reduced water is water that has been electrically disassociated, and that produces molecular hydrogen, active oxygen, and hydroxyl anions to work as free radical scavengers. And the water's been restructured for rapid absorption, and that basically maximizes nutrition and detoxification. If you see this over here, you take a water molecule, you break it apart, you get a hydroxyl anion, and there's the hydrogen molecule. The way that it is accomplished is it's basically a lightning strike. This water occurs in nature when lightning strikes an open body of water, lake, stream, ocean, whatever, and it blows everything apart because of the high ionization level. Well, what they do is they put some quality plates in there and a machine that's about the size of a coffee pot. If this is a clump of water molecules with low energy, they kind of stick together. It's like an electromagnetic thing. They don't disperse evenly. When you increase the ionization, the outer rim electrons kind of repel each other. And some of the bonds will break, and so you'll get, instead of have a big clump that the body can't use, it'll break it down into clusters of smaller, like 4 clusters of 6, 5 clusters of 5, 4 clusters of 4, 6 clusters of 4 with free electrons and whatnot. If you think about trying to get this cluster of grapes into this jug, even Skylar, when she was little, would take the grapes off the stem and dump them into the jug. If you can get everyone in there, you got good hydration. If you try to cram the whole thing in there, it's going to fall all over. They're going to break apart, hit the floor, all that stuff. This is not a personal slam or endorsement of anything. This is simply a list of machines that I have personally used. The Microlite, Jupiter Melody, Alcavive, Life Ionizers, Valier, Tyrant, Royal Water, IonWays, and Echo. I've either purchased these machines or I have a friend or patient that had one. I've personally used and tested these machines myself. None of this came from, oh, well, they said online. And actually, they are all good machines in their own right. And most of them will perform up to their basic claims. It has this pH, it's got this filter, it's got this ORP, et cetera, et cetera. However, most of these are not doing an apples-to-apples comparison against the Enagic SD501. They'll all focus on a particular feature that compares to the SD501, not a full feature comparison across the board. That said, if it's not on the list, I've probably researched it online, and it just didn't really warrant any further hands-on testing by me personally. Doesn't mean it's a good or bad machine, just means it didn't pique any interest because I knew what I had, and for some reason or other, I discontinued it. And I'll explain to you what my rationale was in a few moments. Here's my personal conclusion, and it's going to offend a lot of people, and I'm okay with that. It's my opinion. Prove me wrong, we'll discuss it. I'll even try it with Skylar. In my opinion, as far as the competition, machine for machine, there's none. Second point is, just refer to number one, there really isn't anything on the market that does it all and does it as well as the SD501. They've got some of the highest quality plates. They have the best power supply on the market. A lot of people will misdirect you into thinking it's old technology. And again, that's what it is. It's misdirection. Or they didn't do their own homework. I'll explain that. They have a superior in maintenance and cleaning program. Some machines like to say ours never needs cleaning because our plates won't have a buildup of calcium. That's a true statement. They don't address the mold issue that ends up in the machine. The company's been around the longest. They've got the best warranty because they'll back it because they'll still be in business next year. Has the highest uses of diverse uses of water. Produces hypochlorous acid, produces beauty water. It's not just a pH thing. They want you to think it is, and they may actually believe it is, and it isn't. They just don't know what they're talking about. It produces the widest variety of waters. It has an electrolysis solution that is based on the production of hypochlorous acid. That is probably the biggest single factor of all of them. And there's a reason why it's the industry standard. If you step back to the electrolysis solution and hypochlorous acid production, if you got rid of everything about the SD501 and did a price shopping comparison just against that one water, there's companies out there, Terris, it's Terriss, even Tyant's got a commercial grade hypochlorous machine, and they run $3,000 or $4,000 for one water. Not all seven, for one of them. That's a big point, and we'll discuss why in a few minutes. There's really is a reason why every ionizer on the market compares itself to the SD501. It's the whole package. They try to discredit it because, oh, there's a business associated with it, or it's overpriced, or it's old tech. No, it's an industry standard for a lot of reasons. We'll get into that. So here I took apart my SD501. I had a couple of them. This one is I got used. It's about 6 years old. This was my Jupiter and my Royal Microlite. Nothing to say, but it just shows you the actual size of the plates. The SD501 plates actually measure 53, the Royal and the Jupiter measure 53 square centimeters. The Enagic is nearly 90 square centimeters of plate surface. So pound for pound, the plates are just bigger. I do want to clarify that these are my personal findings only. I am not intending to reestablish an industry standard. I'm not looking to contradict anybody else's claims or findings. And I'll be honest, if you don't take care of your SD501 the way that the company says that you should, you could easily have, and most likely do have, similar issues. That said, Enagic is very clear about machine maintenance. This is simply what I have found out when I took apart these two now obsolete water ionizers. Realistically, I could have opened the only two ionizers ever in existence with the identical issues. Highly unlikely. I should have played the lottery that day. I found plate corrosion and scorched plates and lots of mold. All of my machines are and were properly maintained by manufacturer recommendations. I am putting this into every single one of my children, myself, and my spouse. I was thrilled when I thought I bought a machine that didn't require any maintenance. It cleans itself and all I do is change filters. Perfect. I'm lazy. I don't want to have to deal with that. As a physician, I have never had a device that was truly maintenance free. I was devastated when I found out why my kids were getting sick. It actually was one of the main reasons that turned me off to water machines completely, and that culprit was mold. As you'll notice with those plates, there was no calcium buildup on any of them, as claimed by every manufacturer. Calcium will not build up on our plates. All it does is it reverses the power and it blows the calcium off and it flushes through. Where does that calcium lodge in the rest of the machine? If the water's been filtered before it gets there, it can get hung up in housings, lines, tubes. And what about other issues? If you go away for the weekend and you let your machine sit because you did that, you're going to get mold in there just by nature of there's water in a contained environment. That's what happens. Almost all companies that I've looked at fail to address the mold issue in cleaning their machines. I personally will never own a machine that I can't manually clean and have the factory clean it at will. It is amazing the stuff you'll see on the inside of a machine. The other thing is the quality of the plates. Quality of materials. This is the magnification of the surface of the titanium plates of several different machines. This actually came from Ms. Tosher's report. She's an engineer, brilliant, with some incredible toys. She took apart a lot of machines, and you can find her, Lori Tosher Compares the Machines. It's like a 26-page engineer's report. It's incredible. I can't recommend it enough. But you can just see that the surface of the ST501 here is way smoother. So this was my Microlite. There I am styling. Here's what I found. This is the plate, and this is where the platinum is burned off. You can see here where the plate is scorched. This isn't saying that it's a bad machine. I'm just saying this is what was on the inside of my machine. This was the real problem. If you look at this lower right-hand thing, that tube, all that gunk in there was mold that wiped out. We were filtering the water, ionizing the water, and then flushing it out of the machine into my glass through a tube that was filled with mold because it couldn't be manually cleaned. This machine I used for 9 months. This was my Jupiter Melody. You can see they went a bright purple. I think that that's called scorching, but whichever. Again, another machine they claim never needs cleaning because it has its own auto clean. You can see mold issues in here. This is the housing for the plates. You can see calcium build up on the spigot for the water. And again, looking in the tubes, there's more mold. I actually have these machines in my possession, and it's me taking them apart. This is an online picture. This is not mine. It didn't come out. I've heard rumors of this. This is what happens when you don't maintain a plate and you get calcium. It's older technology, I would guess, but still, you can see what can happen to plates in a hurry if you don't take care of them. Since we're talking about plates, let's talk about marketing hype. Solid mesh and hybrid. There is a lot of fancy marketing going around trying to convince people of certain types of plate design benefits. Here's what I've found. Higher levels of electrolysis do occur around the edges of a plate. That's science, that's not marketing. If there are more edges, there's going to be more electrolysis. That is a fact. Hence, there's a theory of mesh plates. However, that also increases their susceptibility to heat scorching and corrosion. You'll notice that the two machines that I just took apart had solid plates, and they still had issues. As for corrosion, unless every edge is sealed, it's going to be a problem. Basically, the manufacturer wanted to cut the cost on the two most expensive components, titanium and platinum. So if you can put in half the amount of platinum and stretch it and make it look the same size, they'll think they're getting the same thing. There are some new machines out there that are expounding on their new and improved mesh plate design, that it's double, triple, dipped 5 times. But I don't know that they've actually been long enough to truly determine the efficacy of that process. Not saying it doesn't work. I'm saying that historically it's been a problem that's led to a lot of issues. The plate picture from the SD501 came out of a 6-year-old machine that someone gave me. Obviously, they'd properly maintained it. Everybody seems to want to know, how big are the plates? How big are the plates? I wanted to know, so I took them apart. I actually got out my little micrometer and measured the plates myself. I didn't look at what anybody said online because I thought they were one thing because it said it online and the housings are a different size and they show big plastic housings and all kinds of things. The surface of the area of the plates is critical for the electrolysis process. I'm going to explain that in a moment. The Enagic plates measure 3.2 by 5.4, or they're 17.5 square inches or 44.5 centimeters each. They're getting worked on both sides, so you've got about 90 square centimeters per plate. The plates that were in my competitors' machines were 2 by 2.4 by 4.3 or 10.5. Gave me about 53 square centimeters per plate. I will say there does appear to be larger plates that are starting to appear on the market because they realized this is an issue. So how many of these plates? Well, if you look at a machine that's got 53 square centimeters and 5 plates, they have 265 square centimeters. 7 plates is 371. The new big fancy machines with 12 plates that'll blow away any competition on the market has a total surface area of 636 square centimeters. If you look at the Junior, their 5 plates gives you 445 square centimeters. That's more than the competition 7-plate series. Oops. What's going on? We're skipping ahead here. The Super has 12 plates, which is over 1,000 square centimeters. The SD501 with 7 plates has 623. So basically what the competition did is they said, let's put 12 plates into a machine so that we can be an equal comparison to the SD501. The Kangen 8, their newest lineup, has 8 plates or 712. The R unit, the cheapest machine in the Enagic lineup, has 267 square centimeters. That is the equivalent of most other competitors' machines. The smallest Enagic machine with 3 plates has more surface area than the standard 5-plate machine on the market by the competitors, and it's only $1,480. So when you see somebody going, our 5-plate machine is only $2,495, an accurate comparison is to the R model from Enagic, not the SD501. A lot of the new 12-plate machines are seeing actually have a surface area equal to the SD501. And we're not even going to bring up the Super again. Power supply. I love this one. One guy gets out there and goes, it has a transformer. That's old technology. We're not saying it's bad, it's just dated. No, it's the best way to create a steady increase in power. That's why you still see them on the side of the road. You have to ramp up the power to make it stable. They use an SMPS. The SD501 absolutely does. It regulates power flow to make it computer technology safe and stable. The R and the Junior do use a straight transformer to get the most possible energy to work with the larger plates. However, the SD501 has one of the most advanced power supplies available on the market. It has a transformer that increases the power. It has a switch mode power supply that regulates the flow of energy in the plates and heat. It also added in a condenser. And so what happens is you have the power supply, you have the condenser, and they oscillate so that it keeps a very steady, stable power supply to produce the best ionization. If you don't have a condenser and the SMP kicks in because there's no transformer, it drops way down. ramps back up and down and up and down and up and down. So you get a very irregular that's based on how much heat the plates are. So you don't know if you're getting 230 watts, 530 watts, or 50 watts because your plates are hot and they're burning up. An easy way to test this theory is if you have an SD501, turn it on, pour yourself a glass of 9.5, keep it running and unplug it from the wall. It's going to keep running for a full 10 seconds. Proof positive, there's a condenser. Here's why it's important. The electrolysis power factors come on board. It is watts times amps times surface area equals the PEUs, or potential electrolysis units. I recently called a competitor because they had a machine that actually legitimately interested me, and I wanted to look at it. And he kicked me out of the website, said I was trolling, called me a good teacher, but said that I was liable for all kinds of things, and then they banned me from ever going on their website. Like that really mattered. I switched computers and logged back in anyways. And what I asked him is, what's the amperage of their machine? Because it looked like it had a good amperage. Most of them don't. Oh well, their loss. Basically, you take 250,000 PEUs to create stable water ionization. That means that when you ionize the water in 10 minutes, it's not regular filtered water. The number one power factor for the SD501 is the transformer ramps it up to 230 watts at 2.5 amps with 623 centimeters of plate surface, gives you 358,225 PEUs. A typical unit right now is 110 watts with 5 plates or 268 centimeters and a half amp. That means that it only has 14,470 PEUs, which is roughly 4% of the power of the SD501. It can't create stable water ionization. So they add calcium, magnesium, potassium to make it alkaline and make the little drops turn purple. Why? It doesn't work, but people want to see purple. That's the problem. And it's really due to the amperage. I see a lot of energy saver units. Read that as underpowered, not enough juice, can't get it done. 1 amp deals with 6.2 times 10 to the 18th power of electrons. What we're trying to do is break bonds and increase the electron energy. The SD501 has 15.7 times 10 to the 18th. The other units with their half amp have 3.2. That's less than 20% of the electron potential. You can ask any electrician. The voltage won't kill you, but the amperage will. Putting it differently, 2 machines of equal power and equal plate size with different amperages will have a completely different PEU. If you had the same power, the same plate, 2.5 amps versus a half amp, you have 500% more energy in the 2.5 amp machine. It's just the way that it works. Next thing you want to do is you want to avoid any machine that uses a remineralizer. I see it all the time. It's something your body needs anyways. No, it doesn't. Not in that form. In fact, if it's underpowered, they add calcium, magnesium, and minerals to make it look alkaline because it won't disassociate the water. This is the key factor in the research on PubMed that says alkaline ionizers are dangerous. It leads to calcium deposition in the heart, kidneys, and arteries. It's what contributes to alkalosis because the minerals build up in the system, and that's basically the point for all the negative research. It's the minerals that are getting ionized, not the ionization. Next, cleaning your machine. I won't have a machine that I can't manually clean. The SD501 automatically cleans itself just like every other machine on the market. There isn't a machine on the market that does it any more than the SD501. However, I have a manual cleaning cartridge. I can get rid of the mold in my lawn. The automatic cleaning is associated directly with plates and calcium buildup. It is not necessarily flushing the system of mold or anything in there. That's why you use a manual cleaning cartridge. My wife won't let me test a machine that doesn't have a manual cleaning cartridge. Again, our kids got sick. Other thing is, I see a lot about plates, calcium, and auto cleaning. To clarify, plate calcification and the amount of mold in the water lines and throughout the machine are completely unrelated. You can have spotless plates and mold throughout the whole machine. Yes, my SD501 has a regular cleaning schedule, and your machine should too. If you don't manually clean it on a regular basis, there's a really good chance you're putting mold into your body. In fact, municipal water sources are getting so bad today that Enagic has a dedicated team of technicians that will completely detail your machine inside and out. And the stuff that you see in there is horrific. Next comparison. The SD501 can be used for cleaning fruits and veggies. It can be used as a degreaser. It can be used for wound sterilization. It can be used for all kinds of things. Not all waters are created equal. This is some tomatoes. I used to buy cherubs at the grocery store and just eat them on the way home. A friend said, no, you got to wash those. And I'm like, no, they're good. They're nature sweet. They're good stuff. He said, no, just take your 11.5 and wash them. That middle glass was plain 11.5 water straight out of my SD501. I sat the tomatoes in it for 2 minutes and poured that off. The tomatoes tasted like they were garden fresh. Anytime you see stuff like that, all of the pesticides are petroleum based. They don't wash off in the rain. If you're taking and washing your veggies in the sink, don't waste your time. It's not getting anything off. A little bit of dirt. In fact, we eat mostly organic. And that was a big surprise when we started to clean them, the stuff that came off. I later found out that if organic fruits and vegetables are brought in from outside the country, they have to be sprayed at the board for pests. So even the organic stuff from Argentina's got stuff on it. Our dogs drink Kangen water. I just thought this was funny. Looking in the toilet, hey Henry, this is good and all, but does your house have a Kangen machine? Okay, now the diamond in the rough, the best thing about this machine, second to the amount of molecular hydrogen and active oxygen, is it is a true electrolyzed hypochlorous acid machine. Basically, hypochlorous acid converts alkenes to chlorohydrines. You could say it denatures some of the proteins. It breaks down some of the cell membranes, does a lot of things. In the body, it's generated in the neutrophils and contributes to the destruction of bacteria in the system. It's also the main reason that the neutrophils mitigate the clotting factor when you get a cut. Recent studies now are under the way testing using it for necrotic wounds, infectious disease like MRSA, staph, Krepke, E. coli. It's just a button you push on this machine. It's a bonus item. In order to produce hypochlorous acid versus 2.5 acid water, there is a huge difference. These machines go, we produce the same waters as the SD501 without the addition of a harmful chemical solution. It's called salt water, people. It's not a harmful chemical solution. And no, your 2.5 acid water that comes out of your machine without a solution is not hypochlorous acid by FDA standards. You are misleading people to buy your product. You may not know what it is, but you're not getting it done. Electrolyzed hypochlorous acid is when you take regular water and a saltwater solution and you add electricity, you get electrolyzed hypochlorous acid. Without the addition of a liquid salt solution, you still get 2.5 ionized acid water. That is 100% completely different. If you use a granular salt, it must be dissolved in a liquid to be electrostatically active to produce the sterilizing hypochlorous acid. You're looking for 2.5 electrolyzed hypochlorous acid. There's a Dr. Michael Explains Hypochlorous Acid, and you can see its effectiveness as it's being used in wound care facilities, hospitals, infectious disease clinics for MRSA, staph, strep, Krepke, the whole bit. The FDA's approval of hypochlorous acid, it was cleared as a high-level disinfectant for medical devices, dental devices, et cetera, et cetera. They tested the Sterilox machine, and they said, yes, this is a viable solution, as long as it is single-use, generating on site. If you electrolyze tap water, because it has chlorine in it, you'll get some chlorine in the 2.5. But without the addition of an actual saline solution, it does not meet the parts per million criteria for producing hypochlorous acid. It simply does not. I was talking to a recent manufacturer that's gaining a lot of footing, and he tried to explain to me how the sulfur is effective in hypochlorous acid in his machine. And I'm like, there's no sulfur in hypochlorous acid. It's HOCl. And he went off on me in a tangent. I think he didn't like the fact that his machine couldn't get it done, but that's okay. Electrolyzing tap water requires sodium solution. The FDA has not personally, to my knowledge, evaluated the SD501. However, there's been several third-party evaluations done of the SD501. This one was done by ATS Labs, and it was involved MRSA, methyl-resistant staph, 18 to 30 seconds. Staph, strep, E. coli, reports online, you can find it. It gets it done because it makes electrolyzed hypochlorous acid. By that I mean as a disinfectant, this is strong electrolyzed acid pH water, 2.6 and below. Staph, strep, E. coli, salmonella, red yeast, Staph aureus, streptococcus pyogenes, all of it in about 30 seconds or less. This over here is 2.5 acid water. This is the competition. Not a lot getting killed there, people. This is bleach. 2 minutes, 5 minutes, some of it 30 seconds. Just doesn't get it done. Other things that the competition won't mention. Everyone seems to want to compare their pH and ORP against the SD501. Perfect. And having tested them, they do produce those numbers. How long does it last? I had one guy that came in and said, you'd be great because our machine does everything and it's half the price. Well, you know, with the SD501, when we share water with patients, it lasts for 3 or 4 days. Many of the machines have great ORPs that last for only a few minutes to a few hours. Why? Because it's underpowered and it doesn't create a stable ionization process. I actually asked one rep, he said, well, of course it doesn't last for very long, but you're just going to drink it straight from the machine. I said, okay, well, let's just leave them on here and we'll compare these waters in about 15, 20 minutes. He said, fair enough. When it got done, his water actually went from a negative like 700 to a positive 250 in about 20 minutes. He goes, well, I just drink straight from the machine anyways. I said, yeah, but do you ever take a water bottle to the gym or take water with you to work? He goes, yeah. I said, then you're just, if it loses its charge, you're just drinking filtered water. He goes, yeah, so what? Still better for you than all the stuff in there. I said, that's a Brita. It's like $39.95. He said, oh, I guess I see your point. So just because it does it doesn't mean it does it well. A few other things. Some of them produce quality water that can be used to clean veggies and surfaces. Most of them do not. I know that my SD501 does. Finally, you know, we already talked about the 2.5 acid water needs a liquid salt solution in order to produce electrolyzed hypochlorous acid. If it doesn't produce it, it's not a comparable machine. Cosmetically, the SD501 produces an actual beauty water setting that works great for skin conditions, rashes, acne, things like that. I was joking and I said, you know, if I compare my Toyota to a Ferrari, both have tires, both run on gasoline, and both will go 100 miles an hour. And you know, the Toyota is cheaper with lower maintenance. I'll take my Ferrari. Thank you. Electrolysis solution and bleach. There's one particular guy that gets out there to compare his machine to the SD501, and it's awesome. He is basically just trying to scare you into buying a machine because it's a horrible product, because he has no clue what he's talking about. I've seen several videos and pamphlets. Do you know you're drinking bleach? Because that's what's in the electrolysis enhancer for an SD501 machine. For starters, the enhancer is used to produce 2.5 hypochlorous acid, and you don't drink it. The manufacturer says, don't drink this. You never drink out of the acid line. It is used for cleaning the machine to help keep the mold down, though. Oh, wait a second. So it's not the source of chlorine, but it's a preservative for the solution. The bleach that's in the 2.5 enhancer isn't used to produce hypochlorous acid. It's to keep the saline solution as a preservative. In contaminated water supplies, FEMA recommends 16 drops of bleach per gallon of drinking water. The Enagic enhancer has approximately 10 drops of bleach per gallon of solution. That's less than what they recommend for drinking water. Then you take 8 ounces of that solution into the machine to produce 10 gallons of strong acid water. Your ratio of actual bleach in that water is less than comes out of your tap. Again, very awesome way to misdirect and scare people into buying an inferior machine because they didn't have a clue what hypochlorous acid is. If they're trying to tell you, oh, you're drinking bleach and you got this solution, it's old technology, they're basically trying to scare you because they don't know what they're talking about. In the end, if you compare apples to apples, you can buy any other water ionizer on the market and spend several $1,000s on it. Typical one will run you anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000. We'll just say $2,500. Then you can go buy a hypochlorous machine. They make standalone units from Terrace and Tyan. They're good commercial grade hypochlorous machines. And you're going to spend another $3,000 to $4,000 plus your two. So now you're at $6,500. Or you can simply buy an SD501 for $4,000. You got the best of everything, and you're going to save money. The SD501 water has dissolved hydrogen, molecular oxygen, antioxidants, ORP. Microclustering is kind of a misnomer. It's a marketing glitchy word. Basically, it has a high electrostatic charge that causes the water molecules to disperse. It produces electrolyzed reduced water. It has 2.5 pH water that can be used for disinfection, cold water sterilization. You can also use it for cosmetic peels and skin conditions, cooking sterilization. 11.5, it's an emulsifier and cleaner. There's a whole water use chart that goes with the SD501. It's not just drink water. I personally feel that the SD501 is the best electrolyzed reduced water machine on the market. I can't find anything that is better. I've seen a lot that has tried. I actually tried 8 or more alkaline water ionizers before I found one that worked for Skylar. You can ask Amy. I didn't want to try it. She basically shamed me, saying, you know, Dr. Michael, Skylar doesn't have to suffer because you're too stubborn to try the water. And when I did, I found out. This machine produces 7 types of highly bioavailable water. It is endorsed by thousands of doctors and used in hospitals all over the world. The drinking water creates high levels of oxygen, hydrogen, and antioxidants. It can be used for disinfecting, cleaning, food prep, and cosmetics. To the best of my knowledge, it is the only OEM water ionizer in the business. I could be wrong, but that means it's an original equipment manufacturer. And that means they in-house produce their whole machine. They're not just, hey, let's get plates from Korea and a power supply from Taiwan and wiring from China, and then we'll assemble it in Texas. It's actually produced, owned. When someone gets an SD501 and they're part of the business, they're actually an affiliate directly related to the manufacturer. That's why it can be produced for only $4,000. If you were to take a machine that goes for $1,000 that the manufacturer made, and then he went and he got a distributor who now sold it for $2,000, and the distributor sends it to the wholesaler for $4,000, and then the wholesaler sells it to a retailer for $8,000, and then it just escalates. They've kept the price down with a great product because they're an original manufacturer, equipment manufacturer. It's that simple. The bottom line is, what I look for when I'm comparing anything online is, does it have enough wattage, amperage, and plate surface area to consistently achieve stable disassociation of water? Does it have auto cleaning and manual cleaning? It does not use any form of remineralizer. It has a liquid salt solution for the production of true hypochlorous acid. It has a good reputation with a long history of customer service backing their warranty. One of the machines that I took apart because the lifetime warranty was voided when the company sold itself off and got rid of that particular line, and the new manufacturer didn't pick up the lifetime warranty. So much for that lifetime warranty. You just have to be really careful with the gimmicks and things that people try to do to confuse the issue of what's wrong with Enagic. If it gets up there and you get up there and you look and it does not produce hypochlorous acid, It is not an apples to apples comparison. That is a $4,000 options package on every other machine. As a side note, some people talk about the filtration for the SD501. The filter with it is designed for municipal water supplies. If you want to get a super fancy, amazing filtration system, you can get one, a pre-filter from Enagic, for less than a couple $100, and it will do anything you can imagine. I have noticed that a lot of the filters that come on machines, as a side note, are for about 1,000 gallons. I get about 2,200 gallons of water per filter, and I've got 7 people living in my house, 4 kids, a nanny, my wife and I. We use it for cooking, cleaning, cosmetics, and it lasts probably 5 or 6 months, longer than the filter did on my fridge. So there you have it. If you have any other questions, this is from Dr. Michael Explains at gmail.com. I'll be glad to answer them. I don't need, you forgot this, you forgot that, or you're trying to, I don't need that. If you want more information on something that is legitimate that I missed and you'd like me to address, let me know. If you want more information about the electrolyzed reduced water machine that we use for Skyler, you can go to skywaterinc.net. I'm sure somebody pointed you to this website and this information. Get back in touch with them. Don't call me. Call them. If you just happen to stumble on it and you have some questions, sure. There's an information newsletter you can get at that website. But let's just help educate people and take some of the confusion out of this. Yeah. If there's anything else I can do to help you, this is a little bit longer, but the competition's just kind of needs real answers, and it's a lot more complicated. Thanks, and have a great day.